Welcome, everyone. Grand Gnosis Master Dr. Thor Templar here, and I'm going to go into one of the most important areas of your life. Now, whether you're a person who is interested in metaphysics and magic and empowerment, or whether you're just the average person trying to survive, the reason why that gambling in all of its form is one of the number one businesses out there. I can't think of anything that more money is spent on. Probably the only thing is sexuality in general, which is the number one business in the world. But I think after looking at the amount of money that's spent, it could be the number one business in the world, could be gambling. It certainly is fighting for supremacy here in terms of the dollars spent. Last year in the United States, in New York State, of course, one of the most populous states, if not the most populous state, spent $8 billion on the lotto alone. Now, this doesn't include any Indian gambling or whatever other gambling you want to think of. $8 billion, no, I'm sorry, $10 billion on the lotto. And this is public knowledge. You can go look it up for yourself. Almost was 9.9 whatever billion dollars. I doubt that there's any business entire New York State that grosses that kind of money, period. So this is staggering when you look at the actual amount of money spent there. So this is more money than is spent on sports and everything else combined within the United States. So it's really shocking. So this is a huge industry because people are looking for money that they know they can't get any other way. You're not going to do it by educating yourself, getting good jobs, etc. Even people in those areas have problems, and of course that does assist you with a living. But those that are trying to get up, how do you get up? There's no decent jobs out there. Wages have dropped while actual costs have doubled and tripled. So you are nothing more than a slave. What is your answer to stop your slaving? Are you sick of becoming a paycheck slave, a wage slave? Well, the point is that there are ways you can change your life and empower yourself. And of course, that's what the occult sciences are all about. It's about empowering yourself so that you can get past these horrible things in life. And even if you have a good flow of money, there's other things in life that you need to empower yourself with. Maybe that's relationships, maybe that's with health. What you're given as the average person is not enough. It traps you in the system, and ultimately they will rob everything from you with medical bills and other things. How do you beat all this? Well, there are ways of doing it. And of course, having lots of money is a big, big step forward. Now, there are lots and lots of systems out there. I mean, there are thousands, maybe millions of books and that have been written over the last years on different systems of gambling, from how to win with slot machines to the lotto to roulette. And we can add in there the stock market, which is a form of gambling. There certainly is nothing that makes sense in that area. So it has a lot to do with the fact of that it's very volatile. Certain blue chip companies, of course, not change that much, but you buy stocks, you make a little bit of dividend every year because are they going to go out of business? Well, unlikely, because they're such huge corporations that are part of the trillion-dollar industries around the world. If you make soap, you're always going to need soap. So the point is that these things are all part of the process out there. But if you want to make good money and get into things, commodity trading is about as great as gambling as you can possibly get. These go up or down, and you can make millions or lose millions instantly. So as we look at these things, how do you get an edge here? How do you figure out? Well, there are all the common systems out there. You can read all the books, follow all the investors, etc. And this does give you another way to increase your odds of winning. And what is it all about? It's all about increasing your odds of winning. We like to talk about the 1 to 10 scale. Everybody starts off pretty much at 1. It's all based on you just going out and doing something. As you get educated in there, you just go out and buy a lotto ticket. You just buy a stock. I heard about Amazon. I'm gonna buy. So the point is that that's just a 1. How do you increase your percentage, bringing it up to a almost guaranteed win or guaranteed profits, which would be a 9, a 10? Well, how do you do that? Well, you get educated. So you learn about stock market, you learn about the game, you learn how to trade, you find ways of trading inexpensively. You get into all these areas that are give you knowledge. And there are systems out there by the hundreds for all sorts of lottery and trading, etc. And we're going through all these systems step by step. Now, the Guild has always been very successful. We're one of the oldest occult organizations ever. We've always been successful. We've done quite well, particularly in a very niche and difficult area to survive. And we've prospered at very high levels. And we were then, because of outside sources, nothing to do with the organization itself, had certain materialistic problems. Were attacked by the criminal element of the society, which are heavily satanic based, which we took strong stances against. Other than that, I would probably be a multi, if not a billionaire today. Now, to usurp regular business practices, and I've been successful since I've been 16 years old, basically, with all these areas, because I empowered everything by using practical magic and was able to double income into businesses and all the things that go with that. This is something that we've been researching for years, and we have dabbled, kind of foolishly not enough, into gambling, which I was able to do very well using magic again, picking four numbers consistently, making money, but it wasn't followed through properly to do it. But we continue to dabble in these areas right now, and I've changed over to doing very serious research to figure out what are the best systems, how to apply occult empowerment, how to use the occult sciences to dramatically increase those odds. No matter what you're doing, you can push your odds up to eights and even nines if you're doing the right thing, which will almost guarantee certain wins in a bigger situation. Now there's awful lot to gambling and investing. The lotto is just one, and picking random numbers is something we're working on trying to develop of how we can do this consistently. It's very difficult because of the nature of the beast there, and there's many better ways that you can achieve the success of getting huge financial payoffs. What everybody likes about it is the lotto is a low investment, high return, but your chances of winning are millions. But that is, again, kind of a deceptive statement, because there are tens of thousands of prizes offered in most lotteries and lottos and scratch offs, etc. So yes, there are one or two large prizes, but there's a whole bunch of underneath that. So it's not as long of a shot that people think. But it certainly isn't easy. But there are strategies to everything. When people use certain systems, they tend to pick a lot of the numbers consistently, generating a fairly good income. And maybe you didn't win 50 million, but maybe you won 100,000. That's a lot of money still, people. And of course, even after the ridiculous 60% taxes. But there is that possibility. What you need to understand is increasing your odds. How do you do this? Well, there's a combined system of getting to know all the common systems, the common training you go through. I mean, this is something that everybody in life does. Well, it doesn't. Getting common training gives you common abilities. These common abilities are very much geared towards the fact of achieving a level of commonality, meaning the fact that everything is just common. So, if you go to medical school, it's not what you learn in medical school that makes you a great doctor. It's how you take the information, interpret it, and then build on it to become a master. The same thing will be with stock trading. There are thousands and thousands of books on stock trading, and people have, in large numbers, made a lot of money in the stock market. But why didn't everybody make it if they all follow the same system? Well, you have to understand it's how these people applied it and figured it out, and the people they worked with. So it's a complicated factor, and there's an awful lot of areas. Now, with the occult investment and gambling team, we are going through all of these and find out what's best. There are certain areas that can be influenced more than things like the lotto, which is more of a divination or prediction. It's difficult to make numbers come up, even though we are researching that as well. But you have other things that you can influence more. What about sporting events where you have humans who can be influenced in that area? What about stock markets? Again, stock markets and stock trading is very much seems to be an emotional thing. A war breaks out and a stock jumps or goes down, or some discovery happens. And stocks go up or go down. But there's an emotional thing there. Commodities are the same way. If we're talking about food commodities, this is based on the weather. If a crop is wiped out, the commodity price goes up. So what is that? These are all things that can be influenced. Even weather can be influenced. So you go into these different areas, and of course there's different games. Can you psychically tune into a slot machine and pick the winning out of 20 that are there? Can you influence other games that are casino based? What about roulette, which seems to have fairly decent odds and possibly able to be manipulated? So the point is that what is all that in terms of the reality of doing this? Now, there's really never been an organization that has really went out and done this overly en masse. There's a couple of people who have used some base level, particularly psychic or remote viewing things. And there's a couple of active groups there, whatever they're doing. But there isn't people who are going into more advanced magical practices to influence these things. But by using just simple methods, if you can call them that, of remote viewing, people have been able to get lotto numbers, at least some of them. Others have been able to see horse race winnings. Other ones have been able to see the stock market. These things happen, and if you look carefully through the media and listen to the people out there promoting their remote viewing things, you will hear bits and pieces of this. Russell Targ used remote viewing to make $120,000 in the silver market and openly states this. You can find this online. The head of SRI, who did research, this is proof. $120,000, which he claimed on his taxes, I'm assuming. He announces it. So what are we to make of this? So what we make of this is that it works. The problem is that it's unlikely you're going to get someone to come out and give you a step-by-step way of doing things that really is 100% effective because of the social problems linked to that. While the government wants people to stay in remote viewing, so it tells Targ to release information like this, in general, they don't want this empowered to a level that people start using it to empower themselves financially. So, like most things in life, they are hidden and you have to read between the lines. But there certainly is enough out there stating on these different interviews of how people have made money this way, but they're not going to spend too much time into it. Past the fact of doing it to promote their books and seminars, showing that, yeah, this is possible, because of many political factors. But this has been done for many years. I know psychics who are living in multi-million-dollar mansions who got that money through using their psychic abilities in the stock market. Now, it's very, very possible to do. You have to understand that. As I said, you're not going to go around advertising this because it becomes very dangerous on every level. Even your common street thugs who are out there watching people winning the lottos and then harassing, stealing, and even murdering them, what would you think would happen if you're a psychic and came out that you predicted all these things in the stock market? So this is very, very critically important for you to understand of how this goes. So all this research, and of course, as I said, I've been successful at this at lower levels for many years, and now we're saying, hey, what are we doing here? Let's use this empowerment to start making large sums of money. Now, there's a whole system to this, and when it comes to most things in life, as I've said about other people who master, whether it's medicine or law or something else, the bottom line is that each individual has certain capacities that they need to train themselves and then go on to a mastership level. These are individual. Now, very few things in life are a science, meaning you're doing X equals X, meaning everybody just does that. Well, even when it comes to machines that all work the same, let's say your automobile, some people drive horrible. They don't know how to use the machine. So the machine works the same for everybody, but everyone uses it differently. And of course, that's how empowerment and the occult sciences work. But what we try and do is move people up to a very high level very quickly. There is certain abilities that you need to have personally as you develop, but we've moved you up from having to start on kindergarten to learn everything, which is very difficult and time consuming. Well, we're moving people into college level courses right away, empowering you you with different tools, simple how-to books, audio lectures that tell you exactly what to do. And these are all empowering you. They're all sending you positive energies that build around you that then attract what's called, quote, luck. And we'll talk about that in another audio. But the actual working and the applying all these next level, there are no other ways of doing it. The common systems are out there, and they will give you, some people will be able to use them, but you have to go beyond that if you expect to make large amounts of money or make consistent amounts of money from any of these different investments in gambling. Now, the actual gambling team will tell you how to do this. We will give you step-by-step instructions. You'll have access to special courses which you can purchase. But if you join the basic Investment and Wealth Club, you'll be able to access a great library, information that is constantly added to depending on what we're researching for that particular time. And you'll get all sorts of great information that you can apply right now and use. We also have an investor area in our club, which is very limited, and we don't know how many people we're going to continue to take in, if at all, at the time you're listening to this recording, where you invest a certain amount of money per month. At this point, it's $100, and this is put into a particular investment fund, and it's only used for investments. But this is very limited. But if you want the general information, if you're a stock trader, which is very common, you need to have this plus. You need to know what to do to empower yourself. We will also produce all the common systems you should know about. But we're going to tell you how to use those at a much higher level. So this is what's all in the actual club, and the club is very inexpensive to join in terms of just the informational area of it, which is only, at this time of the recording, $50 a month to access this information. This will also allow you to access the upcoming courses and other special items that are only available to the Investment Gambling Club. So this is a fantastic opportunity. It's the best investment of your life. You will get information here that is almost guaranteed to work for you. Certainly, we can't guarantee everybody because we don't know what your level of understanding is, but it seems to be near impossible that you can't win more often, and that's what it comes to investments are about. Not everything's going to work out. The question is well, most people's success rate may be anywhere from 20 to 40%. If you're doing the right things, you should be 50, 60%. Easily greater successes than you're having now. And that's the whole idea with empowering yourself with more, quote, luck. Is the fact that you win more often. So if you win twice a month, you'll win 3-4 times. Well, that could be very valuable and generate lots of money. If you follow the things there, we've never had a person that hasn't done well of increasing their wins, improving their life, etc. I mean, that's just what it's all about. Any type of beyond that is pretty silly if anybody does. There's nothing out there that people are going to guarantee 100%. That's just the way it is. Plain and simple, because that's not how the world works. So there's always a problem of how do you do it. But the whole idea is we take you step by step and we make it as easy as possible. Complicated, difficult systems, nobody is interested and they can't get them to work. We take all that from you, and the increase that we've seen from everyone has been excellent and has tripled, quadrupled their small investment they've ever made. Knowledge is great power. Great power is what brings great money, plain and simple. So make sure you click through, check out the club, and of course you'll find a basic link to our page, but that's just a very introductory page with some information. The whole idea is that the real information, the access to the upcoming courses, etc., you have to be a member and support this organization. The organization is a nonprofit. We take our funds that we make from everything, we put it into our research. This is very, very important to the entire field. So support is always something that is important. If you think you're going to survive in this life by not getting involved with knowledgeable groups, you are living a lie. Everything is about accessing information and applying it to your life. So with that, everyone, this is a chance of a lifetime. What are you waiting for?